Scandinavia, Nordics, Northern Europe. What regions these names refer to is exactly what I'll be covering in this video, along with some other generally useful information about the Nordics, such as what in the world the Nordic Council is, and whether or not Greenland is a country or a part of Denmark. This is the Nordics Explained, as briefly as I can manage. According to the United Nations Geoscheme, this here is Northern Europe, a sub-region of Europe. Within Northern Europe are the Nordic countries, or just the Nordics for short. The Nordic countries includes the Kingdom of Sweden, the Kingdom of Denmark, the Kingdom of Norway, the Republic of Finland, and the Republic of Iceland. The Nordic countries are mainly defined by their shared culture, linguistic ties, with the exception of Finnish, as well as their adherence to social democratic values. Now Nordic people, don't get this confused with the social democratic parties. I mean it as in the social democratic ideology and Nordic model, which is an economic model where people generally pay higher taxes, which pays for many services such as public healthcare for all citizens, education, and other social services. Worth mentioning is that some Estonians do feel closer to the Nordics, especially Finland, and would want to be included. But generally speaking, if you ask most, they're not considered Nordic, but rather one of the Baltic states, of which there are three: Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Now you may be wondering, if all that was the Nordic countries, what is Scandinavia? Well, Scandinavia is a bit more restrictive in its definition, so if you want to be sure, just use Nordic. But generally speaking, Scandinavia refers to the Kingdom of Sweden, the Kingdom of Norway without its overseas territories, and the constituent country of Denmark, notably not the entire Kingdom of Denmark, which has other constituent countries. Now that may make you wonder, what is it with this whole constituent country and kingdom deal Denmark has going on? You may have heard of another country that has a similar administrative situation, namely the United Kingdom. Similarly, the Kingdom of Denmark, which is the sovereign state and UN member, is made up of three constituent countries: Denmark, the Faroe Islands, and Greenland. They all share a government and parliament in Copenhagen, where Greenland and the Faroe Islands each have two representatives. But Greenland and the Faroe Islands, unlike any part of what we usually refer to as Denmark, each have their own parliaments, as well as some home rule. So are they countries? Well, not in the sovereign state UN member and foreign policy sense. In that sense, there is only the Kingdom of Denmark. But in the culture and colloquial everyday speech sense, sure, they are countries, sort of. Country in this instance just refers to an internal subdivision of a larger sovereign state, not independent countries. Speaking of autonomous parts of larger sovereign states, within the Republic of Finland, there are also the Åland Islands, an island chain between Finland and Sweden with a predominantly Swedish-speaking population. Due to these islands having a culture that is more distinct and very Swedish, they were granted the status of autonomous region. Moving on, another entity worth mentioning is the Nordic Council. The Nordic Council is an interparliamentary institution, and its members include all of the Nordic countries. On top of that, the Nordic Council also has offices in non-member states, such as Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and the German state of Schleswig-Holstein. These offices promote cooperation, but these regions are not actual members. Full members of the Nordic Council hold sessions each year, which tend to focus on a specific topic. The purpose of these sessions is generally speaking to make decisions on various matters collectively, and the overall purpose of the institution is to promote Nordic cooperation. Any agreements of the Council are not binding, however, so the Council is entirely reliant on each member wanting to work with one another. To finish things off, you may also have heard about geographic terms like the Scandinavian peninsula and Fennoscandia. So just to make sure all my bases are covered, let's look at what these terms mean exactly. This general region of Europe, as you can see, is made up of several peninsulas and islands that are separated from the rest of Europe by the Baltic Sea. This here is the Scandinavian peninsula, the peninsula part being key here. Don't confuse it with the term Scandinavia, which we covered earlier and has a different meaning. The term Scandinavian peninsula is rarely used, but it is the name for this geographic feature in Europe. Fennoscandia, meanwhile, is the name for this larger peninsula connected to Europe via a couple land bridges over in Russia. Within the Fennoscandian Peninsula is also the Kola Peninsula in Russia, which makes up the lion's share of the Murmansk Oblast. The final peninsula worth mentioning in this general area is the Jutland Peninsula, which makes up much of Denmark's European territory, as well as the German state of Schleswig-Holstein. Although keep in mind, this is just the name for a geographic feature. Jutland in everyday speech only refers to the Danish portion. But that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you to all my channel members, and a special thank you to my second tier member, Lara Hieno. See you all in my next video.